is right for you and work to save you thousands a year. All it takes is one toll-free call. They do all the work for you. Term life insurance is a smart move. Saving money on your life insurance is even smarter. Call eFinancial today for a free no-obligation quote. 800-291-4210. That's 800-291-4210. They guarantee fast, friendly service. So call for a free no-obligation quote now. 800-291-4210. 800-291-4210.
Everybody's talking at me.
My guest, Jim Kouri, Vice President, National Association Chiefs of Police. You can read most of his stuff at Examiner.com, also newswithviews.com. Now, Jim, you had the article about while McChrystal's fate was being sealed, there was actually a U.S.-led Afghanistan and international security force that was doing their job. Tell us about that real quick, would you?
Well, you know, I get the reports all the time. Unfortunately, the mainstream media decides to look the other way or just ignore them. But there have been some successes in Afghanistan. For example, Taliban commanders being captured or killed, Al-Qaeda members and leaders, section leaders being killed, or they call them sub-commanders. These are people who command different districts within Afghanistan. So there are some successes. Unfortunately, as usual, the mainstream media concentrates on how many casualties we have and alleged civilian casualties. I mean, the big story this past week, other than the McChrystal fiasco, was the fact that they had a blogger had a videotape of a bombing mission that the blogger claims shows civilians being killed. Now, the Defense Department says those were not civilians. They had AK-47s. They were armed. But I'm just saying that that's the type of news that we're getting from the war. And, you know, it's not until they have to face the truth, like they did with Iraq, that the surge, if you remember, everyone was saying the surge wasn't working. The surge wasn't working. The minute Obama became president, it started to work.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, and also in some of this fighting going on during this other stuff with the general, you say after the fighting stopped, officials, village elders reported that a large number of foreign fighters were there with their automatic weapons, multiple rocket propeller grenade launches, rounds, communication equipment. Also, in the report about, let me see here, June 21st, where they found 11 tons of ammonia nitrate. That's what they use on those road bombs, right?
Right, the IEDs, the improvised explosive devices. The foreign fighters, you can know that, you can be sure, I mean, that some of them come from the United States, some of them come from Europe, many of them come from Iran and other Muslim countries, because to them this is the new front on the war against the West. And they are using the border with Pakistan as a hiding place, because they know that all they have to do is buy time, because we were foolish enough to tell them we're going to be out by next July.
Now then,
July 2011.
Yeah,
and,
right.
You know, that's ridiculous. How are you going to get the people there? I'm talking about Afghanistan, the people in Afghanistan living in those villages. How are you going to get them to cooperate when they know that the Taliban may come back and destroy their village because they cooperated with the troops, American troops?
Let me put it this way. To me, it's like a no-brainer, but people will argue with me, of course. Whenever you tell somebody, all right, we're going to withdraw July 17th, 2011, that would be like Jackson telling Boston, I know you're probably rooting for Boston, by the way, but anyway, saying to the Boston Celtics, okay, look, we're going to fight real hard the first, second, and third quarter, but on the fourth quarter, we're just going to go ahead and call it quits. You know, it's almost the same thing, Jim.
Oh, sure. It's a no-brainer that they should not be telegraphing when we're going to leave. You could say that we'd like to leave sometime in 2011 if things have turned around in that country, but to give a date to them, all you're doing is telling them, you're telling the good guys in Afghanistan that, hey, you're going to be on your own, and you're telling the bad guys if you could hold out long enough, you got a chance to still win this war.
Now, a story I got, and I got to tell you, I got it too late to get into it, but you just released it today, is about this religious leader from India who owns a Hindu temple in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Must be a very nice religious layback type guy, right? What's the story on him?
Well, the State Department allows special visas to be given to come to the United States to people who are involved in religious missions. For example, missionaries and people who are going to do church work in the United States. And so this Hindu leader, I believe it's Hadar, he got visas for church workers to come to the United States to work at his Hindu temple, and he was charging them $30,000 apiece. So you could imagine. I believe there were 10 or 11 that got him. So you can imagine how much money this guy was making on these visas.
And who actually got him? Was it ICE, or do you have that? Let me see.
ICE, I believe it was ICE.
Let me find.
They had a complaint from one of the people who were not able to pay, and he refused to give them their visa.
Here it is, yeah. The investigation into Haldar initiated June 2008 after ICE received information from the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. R1 religious workers from India. Boy, $30,000 each.
Yeah, this guy was making a lot of money on a program that is basically a giveaway. All you have to do is say that you have a church. It's not difficult to incorporate a church. I'm sure it's happening more than we realize in this country, where supposed church leaders are using the law that's lenient, I believe, to bring people here illegally. And this should send an alarm to the Homeland Security Department that they gotta really go after visa overstays. They're not really talking about it that much. We're talking about the borders, but you have over 4 million people in the United States with expired visas.